Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are at Atlanta Motorsports Park in Dawsonville, Georgia. I'm Charles Head along with Mikey Lane as we get ready to bring you some action today. It's the beautiful hills of North Georgia, Dawsonville, Georgia, known as where racing sort of began in the Southeast as the moonshiners took their loads of liquor that was made in the hills of North Georgia down Highway 9 to Atlanta. Names like Lloyd Say, Gober Sosby, Raymond Parks, all instrumental in starting the world of NASCAR racing, and they all started right here in the hills of Northeast Georgia in Dawsonville. If you ever wonder where the number 9 came from for Bill Elliott and Chase Elliott, it's because of Highway 9 that runs through this area all the way to Atlanta. That was the hotbed of delivering the goods to Atlanta back in the day. Now, if you would, let's all rise for our invocation and our national anthem today as we begin a wonderful day of racing here at Atlanta Motorsports Park. Let's bow for prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for the opportunities that you give us to be at a beautiful facility like this. We pray today for our drivers' safety, for those that are crews with them on the cars, for their safety as well, and give us all a safe trip as we make our way to our respective homes tonight. Thank you for the sport of auto racing. Thank you for the friendships that we make, and thank you for your love that you share with us so willingly. We ask all these things in Christ's name. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem. And as we get set for today's racing action, let me bring on to the scene with you Mikey Lane. And Mikey, we're getting ready for a big day here at Atlanta Motorsports Park. The weather is it's great for road racing, let's put it that way. The track is dry pretty much, even though there are a bit of elements in the area. But it looks like things are starting to burn off, and I think we're going to have a great day of racing action.
Yeah, a lot of fog, overcast. I think a little rain in the schedule later, but cool temperatures, so that's always a plus.
It's always nice. You know, I always like to talk about the fact that it seems like cars make more horsepower when the weather is heavy. I don't know that scientifically that's the case or not, but I always like to think that, and I always like to say that. So until somebody proves me wrong, I'm just going to go with that. That I think that the cars always just seem faster, and they seem like they have more horsepower whenever there's a little bit of humidity in the air. So we'll go with that until proven wrong, okay?
Yeah, it sounds good to me, and I think as far as drivers go, as long as it works in their head.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I'll give them the edge.
That is exactly right. So the drivers will be bringing out our first group. It'll be Spec Miatas coming out in just a few moments. They have made their way to the grid, and so we'll have them on track. We've got a few cars we've seen on track already this morning. They've had their practice sessions, and I think for the most part, the track is dry, at least in most of the braking areas where you might think that there'd be some problems with traction. I think all of those are dry areas right now as we get set to go. This facility just continues to get better every time we visit here. We notice the new paint schemes on the condos has now started to take shape, so that's an area of the racetrack that is a lot of promise there. We're looking for great things, and I know that they continue to get those in order, getting ready to occupy them, hopefully sometime very soon. Grid is open right now. Grid is open, so to all drivers, grid is now open. So let's go ahead and get those cars down and ready to roll. The grid is open for our first race of the day. You want to go ahead and give us our rundown, Mikey, of who we got
Yeah, so
ready
I do
to
have
go
a
today?
grid right here for the Spec Miata race, our first one of the day. Starting on pole, we have Yusuf Muhammad. He clocked a 142.590 for his qualifying lap. Starting next to him on the front row in the 00, Jose Garcia, a staple of all the races here at AMP, whether it's at the kart track or the main track. In third place, or starting third, we have Bill Kring in the 91, followed by Bill Miller in the 5. Jordan Coker, he is in our BMW, so scored separately, but still running with the Miatas. He'll want to have a good performance just for bragging rights.
Yeah, he'll be
anything.
best of class for sure in his, since there's only one in
There's
that
only
class.
one,
There's
yeah.
no question he'll be best of class. So expect him to not only have a podium finish, he'll be on the top spot of the podium at the end of the day, assuming he comes out and makes a lap.
Yeah, it must be a good feeling knowing that you're going to finish first as long as you start the race. But rounding out the field, starting 6, Keith Williamson in the 64. So 6 drivers on track for this first race.
Good. Of course, we talk about Jose Garcia. My running joke with him is that he lives here. He's here for the kart track in a couple of different divisions, and of course, he's here at the main track or the big track for racing as well. So Jose, always interesting to see him here at the racetrack. And he was one of the ones that pointed out to me, make sure you let everybody know that they're running various classes. It's not just the leader that's on the racetrack that's ahead. It may be someone. For instance, the driver that's here that's running in his own little deal today, he'll be running best of class in his thing. So we need to keep in mind that we've got different classes on the track. Even in karts, sometimes we'll have 2 or 3 different divisions in karts on the same racetrack at the same time.
We definitely see it a lot more on the kart track with the different divisions in one race today with only one car being in a separate class. Not too big of a deal to follow, but still important to point it out.
Those of you that follow Atlanta Motorsports Park on social media and on YouTube will be back at the kart track next Saturday. So we've got action these 2 weeks in a row. We'll be at, of course, the big track today and at the kart track next Saturday. We always look forward to that because there's a lot of competitors show up at the kart track.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun time. All the kids.
And it's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing that they make racing suits for 5-year-olds. You just walk around and see these little bitty kids that out there in karts getting an early start. Matter of fact, I was interviewing a driver this morning for a story I do I write for the Georgia Racing Hall of Fame magazine, and I was doing a story on a driver, and he was telling me that when he started racing in the 70s, he was 21 years old. Well, that was sort of the norm back then. You started, after you got out of high school and you graduated college, you started putting a car together, and you might start when you were 20 or 21 or 22 years old. Nowadays, these kids start 4 and 5 years old. They start out in karts. They start out in Legends cars, Bandoleros, and work their way up. We have even young Raiden Nickel in our field today. Still a youngster by those standards, certainly. And he's running a Spec Miata and has for several years now.
They definitely start them young here. I do have an announcement. We have a grid release at 11 o'clock, so looking forward to get this started here.
Yeah, we need all drivers to grid, please. All drivers to grid. Let's get those cars to grid now. All drivers to grid. It's time to get those cars ready to roll. We're just about ready to start. Drivers, you need to be on time. Let's get those cars to grid right now.
Here we have a good shot of the front of the grid.
We've got a few different camera angles today. Of course, our executive producer for our program is Will Rigdon. Michaela Denny is our director and producer, and we've got several different folks on camera throughout. Nathan Woodland is on our tower cam today, I believe that is. On track, we've got Ethan Denny, who will be running our Spectator Hill camera. Blaine Hensley has the camera in turn 1. And we have not come up with a name for Jeffrey Darver yet, but we're coming up on some kind of great name for our drone camera operator. And drone operator. He's not just a camera operator. He is the drone operator.
Our resident pilot, yeah. He needs a call
he's
sign,
the pilot, and sometimes it doesn't go as planned. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
So if you wonder why we have pole cam and now truck cam, it's because those are previous Sky Cams 1 and Sky Cam 2 that the Sky part is no longer operable. So sometimes those things happen. But they do produce good visual shots in some other area, so that's always good.
Yeah, the pole cam has definitely done a good job of capturing the action at kart track. I think pole cam is down today. He's feeling under the weather.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
Okay.
So he couldn't come in.
So the sacrifices of pole cam today, just one of those things.
We wish him the best. Hope he's watching from home.
A couple of weeks ago at the kart track, you debuted truck cam, and when I was not here for that race, and when Will sent me the video and said, I want you to see what truck cam has done, I immediately thought, how can this be mounted on the front of a truck, and how can it keep up with these guys? And I found out truck cam is not mounted on what I consider a standard truck. Tell us the story of truck cam.
Yeah, so like we said, pole cam, which was previously Skycam 1, was just the drone on top of a pole. We got the idea to take that camera and put it on an RC car. Our producer, Will, he has a very nice RC car that gets up to 50 miles an hour, and it's got a nice suspension on it, so it's a smooth ride. So we kind of came up with this idea middle of the night before the race. There were some haters. I'm not gonna lie. I won't name names. You know who you are. They said it wasn't gonna be a good idea, but I think it proved to be a good idea in the end. We had a lot of good angles. All the kids loved it going around the paddock. I don't think it wouldn't work out for the large track here, but for a kart track, it's.
Well, I was going to ask, why is it not on the large track today?
Yeah,
is it just too far out of range to do that?
Yeah, too far out of range. By the time it even got to track, it would be out of range, and it wouldn't work too much. And we get shots of pit lane, but we already have it covered with all the cameras here.
So thank God for duct tape, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
lots of it.
Gobs of duct tape in order to get that cam on the quote-unquote truck, the RC car that day. How did it do coming off turn number 2? Did it enjoy the dip off turn 2?
Yeah, because it's so low to the ground, it looks like a car. Like when it was first on the the screen, people would walk by and say, "Oh, did you guys get a camera on a kart finally?" And they'd look on track and see a tiny little RC car. Like I said, it goes up to 50 miles an hour, which is kind of around the speed that those smaller carts get up the hill. It actually went up the hill a little faster than some of those carts.
So who was operating truck cam?
Yeah, that was Will's project.
Did he spin it out anywhere?
On purpose. Yeah,
okay.
he did a couple burnouts.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing that next week when the carts return. I assume truck cam will be back next week, and we're excited to see that. And hopefully some new duct tape will be applied to that to keep that camera steadily on the front of truck cam for next Saturday's performance. Today, we're awaiting our cars. They're on the grid right now. You see the cars rolling off as they get set to come out. Rachel Hyler will be behind the wheel of our safety car, and she will lead them around the track. And I've not seen Rachel today. Is she dressed up as a pirate, or is she in normal attire
She is in normal
today,
attire. I saw her on the stairs. Seemed to be, business as usual. No pirate
Of course,
costume.
last year we were here on Halloween weekend, and that's when Rachel showed up as the pace car driver in her piratress attire. I'm not sure exactly how you say that. Anyway, Rachel leads them up the hill right now. You see them going off turn number 2. They'll be coming up through turn 4 in just a minute. That's our signature carousel turn here at Atlanta Motorsports Park, and she leads the field around right now. They'll come down through another one of our signature turns. That is turn number 6, right in front of our viewing area here at the tower. And then they will, of course, disappear off into the area that we will keep up with Nathan Denny, who's on Spectator Hill, and also we will have our Skycam that will take us through turns 10 through 14, and then we will see cars appear once again from our tower cam coming up turns 16 and 17 as they come down to the flag area where they'll actually start the race at that point. And it's interesting here, the race starts almost at turn 1 where they have to make that really sharp turn. That's where they'll get the green flag. So the drivers will they'll keep it slow and low as they come off turn 17, and then they'll get the green flag, and they'll barrel up to speed for just a millisecond before they have to put on the brakes and do a hard hairpin turn to the left as they come down to turn 1.
Yeah, they'll be formed up when they come out of 16, 2x2 all the way back. And like you said, only a second on the throttle before they're right into the heavy braking zone of turn 1. And you can't win the race on turn 1, but we've seen a lot of drivers lose it.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. We see a big runoff area there, and drivers hit that spot quite often because they do go in with just too much speed going into turn 1. And it's not only it's kind of off camber, it's also a downhill turn, so they are picking up speed as they're going there. So I think a lot of drivers underestimate how difficult that turn is, and it's the first one out once they get up to speed.
And the way you'll take turn 1 and the start of this race is going to be completely different than how you'll take it for the rest of the race at speed. So you got to make sure your braking zone is right, and then also not screw up your braking zone on the next lap. You're going to be coming back a lot faster, so you got to keep that in mind.
Good shot from Spectator Hill there as our drivers make their way by. They're coming. You can see the flag stand down there. You can also see that drop down to turn 1. We're ready for a green flag. We have green flag in the air, and we're racing now as the drivers take it to turn number 1. Here's where that braking comes in. You see those brake lights come on from the drivers. Good shot off of our turn 1 camera. Everybody executes it perfectly as they come off. Some side-by-side action right now. As they head over to turn number 2, we've got drivers looking to the inside and the outside as we head up into turn 4. Mikey, we got a great race going on right now at the beginning.
Jose Garcia, who started in second, moved his way into first, made the move on turn 1. He leads this race as they make their way through the carousel side by side for second as they head down into the heavy braking zone of turn 6.
They'll be coming through turn number 6 right now. They do get on the binders hard right there, looking down to the inside. I believe that's Bill Kring and
number 4, that is Yusuf Muhammad, our pole sitter.
Yeah, the 91 of Bill Kring was looking to the inside. Kring trying to take that spot away as they battled side by side off turn number 6. Now you see the drivers heading down into turn 8. They'll be working their way up the hill. Boy, Jose Garcia has just really put some distance because those two guys behind him were running side by side for quite a while, and Jose has been able to pull out on the field. Now, last time we were here, Jose had some trouble in this race. It was a mechanical issue with his car, and let's certainly hope that that's not the case today. He has jumped out to an early lead. There you see turn 14.
And so Jose Garcia crosses the line to complete lap 1 as the rest of the field follows behind. But, yeah, I mean, multiple car lengths ahead at this point.
Yeah, we got a good battle going on still for second and third. Bill Kring is in the 91. He is looking to the inside right now, but Kring slows as they go up the hill into turn 2. Something on his car has slowed. I'm not sure exactly what the situation is, but Kring has dropped back now to 4th position on the racetrack. He did hold second spot there for a while, so something going on with Kring in the 91. Now it looks like his car is back up to speed once again. He's trying to take a spot away.
Yeah, I don't know if he lost power or maybe missed a shift or something.
Looks like he's working on
getting up the hill.
Working on Bill Miller right now as he's trying to see if he can get himself back up to spot once again. Keith Williamson rounds out the field of drivers, as you see Williamson there, but Garcia still ahead as they take that car down to turn number 8. Man, Garcia has just really pulled out. Also, our second place car has quite an advantage over 3rd, 4th, and 5th. That triumvirate of cars runs together right at the rear of the field.
As we'll look to get the positions when they cross the start-finish line, Jose Garcia in the lead.
Yeah, Jose there, he brings it coming up the hill to our final turn before coming down the straightaway. There comes Garcia by. We will complete lap number 3 this time by, I believe it is, lap number 3. And, of course, we operate on time here, much more so than lap numbers, because each of these divisions runs 20 minutes. So we'll find out in just a few moments exactly how all of these drivers have appeared in the race. There you see the battle going on in the back. Williamson and Kring, I believe it's Miller and Kring in the back of the field right now, as they have both been surpassed. But Jose Garcia already coming off turn 5, heading down toward turn 6. For Garcia, it has been a banner day so far in this race. We're still in the early goings right now as Jose leads Yusuf Muhammad, who is in second spot. Keith Williamson in that 64 was running in the rear, but he has now moved up to third as Bill Miller and Bill Kring have worked their way back to fourth. And, of course, Jordan Coker, who is in a different class, rounds out the field of drivers. He's in that BMW as he heads down toward turn number 6.
Keith Williamson in that 64, our biggest mover by far, starting in the rear, already in a podium spot. As he looks to get another spot on Yusuf Muhammad, who's running in second, as they head into turn 12.
Yeah, Keith Williamson, we've watched him come on strong here in the last couple of races. He was a driver that didn't seem to have much going mechanically in his car. He has worked on that car the last few races, and now he finds himself with a podium-type run, at this point at least, in third spot behind Yusuf Muhammad and, of course, our leader, Jose Garcia. Garcia now just flashing by the flag stand, and there you see the big battle going on with Muhammad and Williamson as they take their cars across start-finish down to turn number 1. Let's watch them as they go into turn 1. There's a great shot of them as they get into 1. Muhammad able to clear that car. Williamson in second spot. There comes Kring in his number 91. So they have spaced themselves out a little bit as they work up to turn 4.
And you saw Williamson kind of look to the inside, not like he was going to pass, but just maybe show Yusuf Muhammad, hey, I'm here, and you got to think about me.
Well, if you noticed on the carousel, Muhammad got a little high. He was up in what we might call the second groove. Meanwhile, it was Williamson. And look at Williamson. He is making the move. He outbraked him down into turn 6. So move Keith Williamson now up to second spot. Man, he is coming on strong here as we near the midpoint of this race.
And it is worth noting that Williamson did not have a qualifying time. So I don't know if he just didn't make it out for qualifying or just couldn't set a lap. But he might be the fastest car out here and didn't translate in qualifying.
He could well be, and he's starting now to pull away. You saw him as he almost dirt tracked it through turn number 7 a while ago. Really got that car sideways, doing a tremendous job of pulling away. And now
this is the
replay
of was that Kring when he had the problem going up the hill?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what happened to Bill Kring, but that car slowed. He went from a third-place running spot back to 5th, and the car just never got back up to speed. Looks like he's beginning to gain some speed once again. Now, here's that pass that we made on Yusuf Muhammad.
I think this might be live. I think the instant replay is lying to us here.
Oh, there we go. All right, that is our live shot down into turn 1. Williamson in second. Kring is now in third. Sandwiched in between them is Yusuf Muhammad as they work their way up to turn 4. Again, Garcia coming off turn 5 already. So he still has quite an advantage over these three that are running together. That's your second, third, and fourth place battle coming off turn number 5.
And, we thought Williamson would kind of drive away from Muhammad, but Muhammad's staying in it right behind him, and Kring right there in the mix.
Well, we know Kring's had speed because he was up to second spot at the beginning of this race. Right now he's trying to see if he can regain at least up to third spot as he follows Yusuf Muhammad. They work their way into turn number 9, and we'll see if anybody can gain some advantage right there. But Williamson starting to pull away from this group.
So head down the hill into turn 11 and right back up the largest hill, turn 12, into the blind turn. That is a hard complex. You're basically just turning right into a blind spot, hoping that the track's there.
Difficult place to go as we've been around this track in a personal vehicle, not in a race car, but you can tell by the way that even a regular vehicle handles how difficult the cambers are when you go up through there and see that blind spot you come down through. Now, this is checking out turn number 1. That's the view off turn 1. Here comes, oh, my goodness, Williamson off the track. Kring is off the track in the 91. So those problems that we saw earlier have now relegated Bill Kring to the paddock. So trouble with Bill Kring as he brings it down pit road.
So just got the word, Bill Kring getting the drive-through penalty for track limits in turn 6.
Ah, okay, so it is a pass-through penalty. So he is having to come onto the track, and then he'll head his way back out. So it was not mechanical issue. It was I guess you put that under driver error on that one. I don't know any other way to place that. Yeah.
I hope he'll probably be disappointed at that because he was running pretty fast there. Definitely had a chance to catch Muhammad and Williamson. But Williamson now is kind of checked out for Muhammad, opening up to 5 or 6 car lengths.
And there you see the difference. Coker is just now heading into turn number 1. He is in a different class. We're running 2 classes in this same race. So Coker in that slower car, the bigger car, the heavier car, the BMW, as he now works his way up to turn 4, while our other drivers, this is the battle for second and third, and they're just now making their way through turn number 9, getting ready to make that big right-hander. That's another signature turn here at Atlanta Motorsports Park. that you don't really get to see the entire shot of that one because it is quite in a distance from us. But now here comes Williamson back out onto the racetrack.
Oh.
He is running very slow right now as he came off turn number 6 at that point in time.
That's
Kring. That's
Bill
Kring.
Kring actually went off track there a little bit.
I'm not sure what's going on with Kring. Today has not been a banner day for him.
It was in turn 6 where he had
received
received the penalty for track limits. So I think not getting the concept of turn 6 down in this first race, maybe a little too hot in.
Well, there goes your second place car off turn 1. Meanwhile, Jose Garcia starting to even exert more of distance between his car and the second place machine. So Jose taking it into turn 6 right now. There you see his silver Miata flashing by. Let's talk a little bit about these Spec Miatas and about what they are. What's the meaning of spec? Tell us what the specifications are, Mikey, as we talk about these particular Miatas.
Oh, yeah. So, specified class means they pretty much all have to run the same internals. No modding your car out to be faster, although some might try.
And now, of course, these are older model Miata cars.
Yes.
They span a certain year model that they have to stay within.
1990 through 93 with the 1600 cc engines, and then 94 through 97 in the 1800 cc engines.
Yeah, we often talk with Raiden Nickel, one of our youngsters that's out here in these divisions, about running the Spec Miatas and about the fact that these cars are older than he is. And so many times you find that where the younger drivers have vehicles that would be considered possibly vintage cars that they're running here on this racetrack.
Yeah, I think just for the price point, you can't really beat Miata. The entry price is so low, almost anyone can get into it.
And I think when they started out with four-cylinder engines back in the day, I don't think any of us realized that how strong and how durable those four-cylinder engines were going to be. And it's the same with these Miatas. Man, you could just tax these things as much as possible, and the engines just seem to hold up. Very, very durable. Who would have ever thought that we could take cars like this and make race cars out of them?
Yeah, and they're just they're so light and so small. They handle this track perfectly. All the elevation change and off-camber turns can really just run this track to the limit in these small cars.
Yeah, this racetrack is a very special track. It has signature turns. It has the highest elevation change of any road course that I'm familiar with anywhere in the United States, from the highest level over in the top of turn 4 to the lowest level, which I guess is around turn 14. That's probably the deepest spot on the racetrack.
I think turn 11 probably is the
turn
lowest.
11, okay.
Yeah.
They worked their way up the hill a little bit to turn 14, but turn 11 is a very low spot on the racetrack. There you see a shot of it as they make their way over into that area right now. Just huge elevation changes, which means that once they're going up the hill, it taxes those engines even more.
Yeah, it taxes them even more, and it creates just these blind turns. You really have to trust the machine you're driving and your knowledge of the track.
Speaking of knowledge of the track, I don't think anybody has more knowledge of this track than Jose Garcia. He probably dreams about this track at night. He's here every day just about it at this racetrack, and certainly knows the track as well, if not better than anyone else. So he knows his braking points. He knows what his equipment needs to do, where he needs to be, tachometer-wise and so forth, going into all of these corners, what gear he needs to be in. He has just become truly a professional at this racetrack.
Yeah, I'd say at this point it's muscle memory. He probably just feels the car in a certain way, and especially now with such a lead, he's just going through the motions. I think he can save his stuff here for the second race. Doesn't have to stress too much.
We're 7 minutes or so away from the checkered flag coming out on this one, so well past the halfway point as our drivers just continue to make laps. Garcia, you saw him slowing just a little off turn number 6. I don't know if that's because he realizes he has such an advantage or if maybe there's some kind of issue going on with the 00 car. We will keep an eye on that as we go along, but he still has quite an advantage over our second place car of Keith Williamson. Williamson having what I consider is sort of a banner day for him as Williamson is continuing to run in second position. We need to grid all of our next group. All of our next group needs to be at grid, please. All group number 2 drivers. Let's go ahead and get those cars to the grid area. Gridding open now for all group 2 drivers. Mikey, we see some action. Well, in that one shot, we saw some action over at the kart track. So we've got some karters out here today, even on a day when it's a bit overcast. They're still out here having a good time on the kart track, and we'll be there full force next Saturday with kart racing.
Always a lot of fun over the track. Yeah, I think right now it looks like a member day. I see some of the faster karts, so not public karts just yet. Hopefully the rain stays away and they can continue to run all day. Although it looks fun on that wet track, the way they slide around.
Yeah,
Those
it's
karts are
interesting.
kind of meant for
See a
it.
little bit of rooster tails coming up from those drivers as they hit that big turn at turn 8 over there, one of the turns that we're seeing visible from our vantage point today. There you see Jose Garcia. He's coming down into turn number 6 here at the big track at Atlanta Motorsports Park. Garcia working his way through turn 6. Now remember, Bill Crane had some trouble with turn number 6 earlier, but Garcia, of course, working flawlessly through there. Right now, you see the number 64 of Keith Williamson. He is executing that turn well also. Garcia working his way down to turn number 11. So Garcia into the lowest point of the racetrack as we get ready for the laps to start winding down and the time to start winding down. We're only 4 minutes away from the end of this one. Once again, Group 2, we need you to the grid, please. Group 2, time to get those cars to the grid. If you're checking out the action in turn number 11, you see nobody there at the moment. However, you do see a car on the carousel, and that is Bill Crane's car. He is now well behind. Remember, he had to serve that penalty earlier and had to come in for a pass-through penalty down pit road and was able to take that car back out. Had difficulty negotiating turn number 6. This time he does a little bit better. You see him go by turn 6 as you see Jose Garcia heading into turn 1. So Garcia looking to claim a victory. It looks pretty good for Jose right now unless he suffers some kind of a mechanical issue toward the end of this one. You saw Yusuf Muhammad also going just off turn number 1 with that camera shot. He's trying to chase Jose down as the laps wind down.
As the laps wind down, yeah, Keith Williamson ran 3 seconds faster than Jose Garcia that last lap. And the lap before ran an identical time. All of Keith Williamson's best laps have been these last few laps. So
yeah, Williamson
slowly catching Jose.
He is screaming down the hill in off of turn number 4 into 5, and in so doing,
screaming.
you see him having to brake hard. The binders and the tire smoke coming on. He locked him up going into turn number 6. Good thing he wasn't side by side with somebody, or he may have gotten past at that point. But Williamson just screaming down the hill and then had to brake very hard going into turn number 6.
And that's just the difference of running first and second. Jose has the luxury of being easy on his tires and easy on the brakes. The advantage definitely towards him.
You know, Keith Williamson is feeling it today. Man, I am in second spot. I've got a car like I've never had before, and he is wanting to do everything possible to try to chase down Jose. I just don't think he's got enough for him on this particular day, at least not at this point in the race.
Yeah, and then, a second race coming up later this afternoon, so we want to make sure he doesn't go too hard and lose the car.
Yeah, and this is just setting us up for the big race today. This is a race that will set us up in their qualifying order and finishing order for the race coming up this afternoon. Garcia continues to lead as he heads in front of those beautiful condos and works his way over to turn number 4. Meanwhile, Williamson trying to chase him down. Williamson, he's got some additional lettering on his car and additional graphics on the race car. So I think Keith is ready to come on strong. He's doing a lot extra and showing a lot extra on the racetrack today also.
Definitely the livery adds a couple horsepower for sure.
Yeah, why not? Sure, let's go with that. Here comes Garcia. You know, Williamson is closing in. Garcia is off turn number 6 right now. He's heading down to that big area of the low point of the track in turn 11, and Williamson is chasing him down, but time is going to run out. I see on the flag stand, I see the white flag in hand. It is furled at the moment, but I expect it to unfurl any moment as Garcia makes his way off 16, and we'll see how that works out here in a moment. But I believe we're going to be getting ready for our final lap. Bill Crane right now, he is so far behind the rest of this field. He is running all alone. No cars in front of him that he can see and no cars in his rear view mirror. as he is just running the clock right now, and he knows this is not going to be a banner day for him after having to suffer that penalty earlier. Coker goes by. He is going to be the leader in his division. He's down into turn 1 right now in that red BMW. And Jose Garcia comes by. It is white flag in the air this time. One more lap around for Garcia. Williamson closing in, but it may be too much too late for Keith Williamson as he is closing in on Jose Garcia. Continues to run fast laps, fastest lap of the day. But as you mentioned, Mikey, Jose Garcia has the luxury of being out front and having, I would estimate, a 20-25 car length lead at this point over Keith Williamson, but Williamson's still digging. Give him credit for that. You never know how that's going to translate to the afternoon race.
Well, and yeah, with it being, a damp track and the weather, all it takes is Jose to slip up just a little bit on one of these turns, and Keith Williamson can be there. So charging hard, definitely the closest they've been all day.
Yep, Williamson doing a good job, and you see that drier area of the track, the grayer areas of the track. That's exactly where these drivers are going, and they've obviously dried the track out a bit with their tires, their exhaust, and the heat of the cars, and they are right now in the exact same spot as they hit those areas. Williamson just on those rumble strips off turn number 11. Jose works his way up the hill in turn 12. Now Williamson is there. I believe Keith Williamson's closing in. It seems like that Garcia no longer has the advantage of that huge lead he had. I believe Williamson's cut it down by about 4 car lengths this time by. There you see the Radicals getting ready. They're lined up. They'll be up next. Always good to see those Radical cars on the racetrack, and we've got a good group of them today. Here comes Garcia. He works his way off turn number 16. Garcia will come by. Checkers are in the air, and Jose Garcia will win this leg of today's race. Keith Williamson, man, closing in just a second behind Garcia as he came underneath the white flag. Now it's Yusuf Muhammad who will be your third place finisher, and I think Bill Kring will hang on for fourth, even though Kring had an adventuresome day in his number 91.
And then in the 022, the E30, all by himself, Jordan Coker. He'll finish first in this race.
Well, for Jordan, it's just basically racing the track. He's not racing the competitors because he's not in the same classification as them. But for Jordan, he's just trying to better himself every lap and keep up with his lap times since he's here all alone in his class today in that BMW. So that will complete it for group number 1 today. Of course, they'll be coming back this afternoon as we will declare our podium finishes for the day. And then we have group number 2 on the way out in just a moment. And we've got a good field of Radicals today. Good to see those cars starting to beef up in this division.
Yeah, 8 cars out there, 7 SR1s and then 1 SR3. So.
And the SR3 is just a later incantation, or whatever you want to call it, a later version of what started out as the SR1. So the SR3 is a little later. Not a lot of difference in those cars mechanically. A little bit of difference in aero styling on the race cars, but not a lot of difference in them mechanically.
And you see the grid getting ready there.
And, of course, most of the time, many of our cars are white. Occasionally we'll have the black Radical that'll be on the track. Today we've got a red one, so we do have a little bit of color rather than just the basic white that we see on the cars.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to spot the numbers on these the white SR1s. They kind of start all looking the same.
That's why hopefully you have Race Monitor up and running at your location where you're watching this from. We have the luxury of having Race Monitor here, so that keeps us abreast of exactly who is where on the racetrack. Otherwise, we'd just be saying, hey, it's the white Radical ahead of the other white Radical. So
we wouldn't be wrong, but it wouldn't be very entertaining.
Yeah, when it comes to open wheel racing, many times I've had to just find out what color is your helmet. And that way I can kind of keep up with who the drivers are based on their helmet color. So sometimes you have to resort to those kinds of things.
I see the lights on the pace car. Here's a good shot of Jose on the scales here at Tech. So that is our first through third, Jose, Williamson, and then Muhammad on pit lane. Weighing. It looks like Jose.
He got the thumbs up. I think that's a good sign always when a thumb goes up like that. So here comes Keith Williamson in. He'll go across Tech here in just a moment. We'll see if he gets the thumbs up this time.
He did have the fastest car by far. So we'll see if hopefully that was all driver's skill.
Yeah, he and Bill Kring were doing a lot of racing side by side there. Yusuf Muhammad was also in that battle for a while. And that's what allowed Jose to get out to such an early lead, was those two drivers battling so hard there side by side for so many laps. And so they were just never able to overcome it. There was never a caution that tightened the field up or anything. Never able to overcome that huge lead that Jose got in the beginning. Although Williamson pedaled hard toward the end, he was coming on strong. It's always like you say, if he had another 5 laps, maybe. But you never know. But at any rate, he had a good second-place run today. He's got to be feeling good about his race car going into the afternoon because he knows he's got a good piece under him.
You know, how many times people say, if only I had another couple laps, maybe they should start making races just a couple laps longer, and then maybe we'll have better finishes.
Yeah, well.
But, you know, I don't think that's the case. Because I think
you need to start thinking about that when you see the 5 to go sign or something. You need to, again, that's sort of in the driver's hands. I was kidding a race car driver, had him on the radio show on Thursday night, and he was talking about the difficulty he had at a racetrack, and he hit the wall and so forth. And I said, and that's the track's fault? And he said, well, no, I can't blame that on the track. So sometimes it's driver error no matter how you place it. It's either driver or mechanical. You can't fault the racetrack for them having an issue on the racetrack. Right now we've got Radicals rolling. They're heading off, getting up to go right behind Rachel Heiler in the safety car as they work through turn number 4. We'll give you that lineup in just a moment. As a matter of fact, you've got the lineup in hand. Mikey, go ahead and tell us who we got.
All right, yeah, starting on pole in the number 1, Adam Brickley, side by side, starting with Raiden Nickel, who's didn't race the Miata today and has not raced in the karts anymore, but is out here in the Radicals, still doing his thing. In third place, Andrew Nagy, and in fourth, Will Layton. Starting fifth, Pete Folger alongside Greg Folger. And then starting seventh, Bill Swatling. We did have Reed Paul on the list, but he is not here.
And who's in the red Radical today?
The red Radical. That is the question, isn't it? I want to say the red Radical is the SR3. It is, yeah, Bill Swatling. Okay, so.
Okay. So Swadley's in the red one. I noticed Raiden Nickel had a bit of teal color on his car, and of course the number 93 that we're familiar with Raiden Nickel always running. So we can keep up with those two for sure on the racetrack. And our leader, as we get ready to bring him to green, is Adam Brickley. So we will see them as they come to action in just a moment. They have disappeared off turn 12 over into 13 and 14. We will see them coming back up the hill again in just a moment as we get ready for the green flag to fly for the Radicals, also called the downforce cars, and that's clearly the reason is because of those front spoilers, the rear wings, and so forth that do create a lot of downforce on these cars. So they'll be bringing them to green, and we'll get ready to go for 20 minutes for group number 2, which is the Radical cars. You saw Rachel Heiler take the safety car down pit lane, so that means that our drivers are now set to go. They'll be lining up 2 by 2 as we get ready for our green flag to fly.
I think, yeah, they're actually going to give them another time around.
I see Rachel still back on the track with her flashers on. We will get one more time around.
And I think the reason for that is the Radicals need a little longer to warm up the tires and get everything up to temperature. So I think they give them an extra lap.
Yeah, today with the extra moisture on the racetrack, I guess it is a little more difficult to get heat in those tires and to get them ready to go. So one more time around with Rachel ahead of the group as she takes them down toward turn number 4. We'll be seeing them come around there. They'll be lining up 2 by 2. Now they start to get a little more in starting formation. That worried me from that shot that we saw. Nobody was really lining up 2 by 2, and I thought something is up with that, and exactly what it was. One more lap to go.
Yeah, I think, 2 laps under yellow for the Radicals. First through third positions all qualified within a second of each other, so hopefully that translates to the race. We have a good solid battle for the lead.
When you get a shot, there's a good shot of those cars on the track. You see Raiden Nichols also got a little more black on the undercarriage of his car showing than the others. That's the 93 car. He also has some teal color on that car, so we'll be able to keep track of him. The youngster out of Houston, Georgia, I think Raiden's maybe 15 years old now, 14, 15, I'm not sure exactly. These kids, you know, you start watching them when they're 12 and 13, and before you know it, they're 17 or 18 years old. It's amazing how these young kids work their way through. I had a youngster call me this week who wanted me to interview him on an upcoming show, and I was reminded when I said, "What are you doing right now?" He said, "I'm between second and third period in middle school." And I'm thinking, "Oh my goodness,
wait,
so gracious!"
I'm talking to a race car driver right now?
Yeah. So. These kids are coming on strong early on right now. Raiden Nickel is one of those, and they moved here in order for him to be to race at Atlanta Motorsports Park. They chose this area of the country because he would have an opportunity to race often here at this track. So good going for the Nickel family, and he certainly has a great potential in this sport of auto racing and is already exercising that. He's already graduated out of the karts, had his last kart race about a month ago, and has now moved into radical racing. And you mentioned he's not in his Miata this weekend. He is concentrating now on the radicals on the downforce cars.
And I mean, we talked about it just with the track and all the elevation changes and the different signature turns, that this track really prepares you for other tracks that you might go to.
Yeah.
It's a good training grounds. I think a lot of drivers use the track as almost a test track.
Well, I've had drivers over the years that have told me certain oval tracks, if you can win at that particular track, you can win anywhere because of the characteristics of the track. I think that's the case here. If you can win at this track, it prepares you for any other racetrack you might go to. Road Atlanta, Road America, any of the road type courses. All right, we're now side by side. We've got a great formation of these drivers coming to the green flag to get this underway. Here they come by the paddock area. They'll be getting the green flag in just a moment, heading to that treacherous turn number 1, first time out.
And here they'll be side by side heading into turn 1. A little bit of brake lock up there as Raiden Nickel takes the lead off of turn 1, heading into turn 2, into the fast turn 3. The cornering speed on these cars is a lot faster than the Miata, so they'll take this carousel at a much higher speed.
Yeah, Raiden Nichols starting to...
Oh, we have a car spun in the carousel.
Oh, we do. We got one spun up against the wall over there. That may require some track, folks. I believe that... I think that area of the grass is going to be a little too wet for them to get any traction to pull out. We don't... Yeah, I was able to. So we've got it back on track. So that's good news. So we will not have to go yellow. We're able to keep going. Track officials not having to go out and get that car going. So I'm kind of surprised with the tires that they got enough traction to be able to get out of that wet grass over there up against the wall in turn number 4.
Yeah, wet grass is the enemy of stalled out race cars.
Or the trees. We saw one in the trees back about a year ago, I think. So the trees off turn 14 sometimes collect a car as well. That was an interesting day here at Atlanta Motorsports Park. So our drivers lead their way. They're back up. There's the replay of what happened in turn 4. Car just unexpectedly turned right on him as he came through that area of the track. And another good shot of that, just a slow turn off. I don't believe there was any contact with the wall. That is a good thing, so it didn't damage any of the front end of that race car, but he was able to get it back under control and get it back on track.
And a good job from the other drivers to avoid him. So he'll lose a lot of spots, and it'll kind of put him out of the contention for the podium finish here, but no damaged race cars is a good thing.
Yeah, so Raiden takes him up the racetrack right now, and he brings him down into turn number 6. Nickel doing a good job of getting that car out front. Raiden Nickel is your leader. Adam Brickley, I think, is in second spot right now, so he is the driver who started on the pole for this one, and he finds himself in second position as they get ready to head on toward turn 11 as Raiden's already cleared that. He's already in turn 12 as the other competitors make their way to turn 11.
And so, judging by the scoring, I think that was Will Layton that spun because he had a 1 minute, 54-second lap compared to everyone's 1:30s and 1:20s. But able to continue, that's an important part for him. And yeah, Raiden Nickel crossing the start-finish line into turn 1. Greg Folger and Adam Brickley pretty close together here. It's a decent battle for second. So they make their way back up the hill. Turn 2 into turn 3. And I wonder if, maybe that spin we saw in the carousel was just because it was off the racing line and that part of the track had not been dried properly because, the Miatas may have not run up there.
Yeah, and I think he was running a higher groove, and I think as you're talking about, that groove was not completely dry, and that car just kind of stepped out on him a little bit, front end of it. As you mentioned, these cars are faster. They go into the corners faster, and I think that extra speed was just something that he wasn't expecting at that point. Again, that was first lap under speed, so I don't believe we'll have that error happening anymore. Raiden Nickel continues to lead. Adam Brickley runs in second. Greg Folger and Andrew Nagy are your third and fourth place car. It's Pete Folger and Bill Swatling. I think Swatling we determined is in that red one. Is that correct?
He is in the SR3. Yeah, it's slightly bigger in the red Radical.
And Will Layton is the driver who spun over in turn 4, so he brings up the field in the number 78. And that's the way we have them right now as we are 4 minutes in. We're about to the quarter race mark for race number 1 for group number 2 as they're on the racetrack. Drivers take it down to turn 1. There you see that shot of turn 1 once again as the drivers work their way through. Raiden Nickel, first driver through that area, and he makes his way up to turn 4.
Yeah, Ray Nickel running about 2 seconds faster than Adam Brickley and Greg Folger here in the second and third position. Second and third running almost identical lap times, well, a couple tenths off, but Greg Folger will look to see if he can make his way into second.
Yeah,
there's plenty of time.
There's an area right there where you can make up some time. It depends on how your second and third place cars break into that turn 6 area. That is a tight turn, and we see a lot of passing going on there and a lot of drivers who make up some time there. But both those drivers made it through there cleanly. They head down to turn 11 right now. It's still Folger, Brickley in second spot, Folger in third, trying to chase him down as they go to 12.
Yeah, turn 6, turn 1, the heaviest braking zones. Here's a little replay of the race start as they headed in turn 1 side by side.
Yeah, a little bit of tire smoke there as you see Raiden Nickel was able to pull away. Watch this once again as they head down to turn 1. Nickel is the car on the outside. Now you see the tire smoke from Nickel. He actually overbraked a bit going in, but he was able to take that momentum and pull it off of turn number 1 to take the early advantage. So good job of Raiden Nickel on what could have been an error sliding off into the gravel pit. He wound up taking the lead off of that.
Yeah, it must have been right on the edge of, and I mean, sometimes that's what you got to do to get to the lead, especially in these short races.
Well, we talked about Jose Garcia having a lot of experience on this track. Raiden Nickel also has a lot of experience here. Even though he's a youngster, he's put in a lot of laps on this track, and you see now he is starting to pull away. His time far exceeding that of Adam Brickley, who you see on the screen right now. Brickley and Folger running in second and third spot, and that gap continues to open up also.
And so, we talk about Raiden Nickel being young. Is that you think maybe that fearlessness comes into play in that turn 1?
Yeah. I think Darrell Waltrip once said about Jeff Gordon, he said, the reading Gordon's so fast he hasn't hit the wall hard enough yet. And so I think sometimes exactly what you say happens. They don't know their limits, and so they drive fearlessly on the racetrack.
We see a lot of that at the kart track all the time with the younger kids. They'll do stuff that the masters and the seniors will never do.
That's right.
And
somehow it works out for them.
Well, yeah, until it doesn't.
Yeah, till it doesn't. You're exactly right. Oh, our leader, Raiden Nickel, is already in turn 3. We got a spin. We got one in the gravel pit right now off turn 1.
Oh, he was our lap 1 spinner, and it looks like he's beached.
That is a tough position right now for the 78, and that's Will Layton. He's the one that was in the wall in turn number 4. Layton is in the gravel pit right now, so he still sits down there. We're taking a visual on him, and he's sitting there right now, and I believe we're going to have to try to see if we can get him out of that gravel pit. Right now, caution is out on the racetrack, so it's a full area caution. And they will have to get some track officials over there to get him pulled out. Safety crews are on the way over. They'll get him pulled out of the gravel pit. Those gravel pits are great things. You know, you go on the interstate and you see those sand pits and the gravel pits for the truckers when their brakes fail. And you realize you don't realize how quickly that it slows them down. These drivers are running probably 80, 85 miles an hour as they're going into turn one trying to brake hard, and yet that gravel pit just in a few feet stops that car completely.
It'll stop them, but I've still seen cars hit the back of the tire wall at turn
wow.
one.
Man, that's tough.
If you lose brakes in turn one. These cars are so light, and I think their brakes are so good that they get slowed down in enough time that he barely made it into that pit here.
I was interviewing a driver that had raced at Road America in Wisconsin, and he said that he exited the track, overbraked, exited the track into a cornfield, and he said 6 months later they were still finding kernels of corn in the car that they had not seen before that were coming out of unknown areas in that race car. So, yeah, you want to stay out of the cornfields. That's usually the goal of any road racer.
I've definitely heard of people, digging sand out of the car for a long time after a trip to the beach, as we call it.
Well, this is going to tie up the guys. They're going to tighten up right now. Raiden Nickel is your leader. Had quite a big lead over our second and third place cars, but right now we're going to see the field tighten up, and we've got safety crews there right now to take care of the 78 car.
So, bunching the field up, not what Raiden Nickel wants to see. But everyone else is going to be happy with this, I think.
Oh, I think Raiden probably enjoys this. He says, you saw me do it at the beginning. Watch me now. Let's see what happens. So I got a feeling that even though it is going to tighten up the guys, I think Raiden is still going to be I think he's still going to be the class of the field when we go back to green flag racing. At least his cars look that way so far. So they've got the tow strap on. As you see, they'll be trying to pull that car back out on the track. Good job of our safety crew here at Atlanta Motorsports Park. They're always available and always well-trained and ready to step up. We always hope we don't need them, at least any more than in this situation. There you see the ambulance pulling away as they made sure that they checked on our driver, William Layton, to make sure he is okay, and I believe they have deemed him good to go. So once we get that car on track, he should be able to continue.
Yeah, here's got a replay.
Just locked up the tires, had nowhere to go, had no control over it once he locked the tires up. And there he went, just barely into the pit before he got stopped.
Yeah, so he was stopping the whole time, so he didn't lose any brakes. He just kind of overshot his braking zone, saw his arms fly up. The second, spin or off course for Layton in this race.
Yeah, it's been an adventurous race for him so far. There you see him getting pulled back just about out of the sand trap back onto the grass, and they'll get him on the track here in a moment. And I don't know if there's any damage to that undercarriage of that car because of the situation. We'll find out in a moment. You see some more heavy equipment coming out to make sure that he is ready to go. I think that may be something that was used in the condo construction that they're bringing out for a little bit of extra help on the racetrack.
Yeah, not needed today. They were able to get out of the sand trap. I mean, was only in the sand trap for about a feet in. So
I will have to tell you this. I was announcing a race the other night, and a car, a wedge dirt late model, went over another car when he spun. It went over the top, and he landed on the wall above the guardrail, and they had to bring out a forklift, a construction forklift, to raise that car up and put it back on the racetrack, and the driver was able to continue. It didn't cause any damage to his race car. Pretty amazing to see that.
That is amazing. Let's see the pace car making its way into turn 3. About to enter the carousel. And these laps do count under caution, so we just got the word from race control that we got standing yellow, probably going back green this time by.
All right, they'll be coming off turn 16 this time. They'll get the green, and we will go back under racing conditions once again. We have stopped. Well, the clock is continuing to roll. We're just past 12 and right at 12 and a half minutes complete in this one right now for group number 2. Remember, we'll be coming back for our determining races, I guess you call them that, this afternoon. The finals. We'll be having group 1 and group 2, the finals this afternoon. That's where we'll be awarding the podium finishes for the top 3 finishers in both group 1 and group 2, and also our standalone driver who is in Mr. Coker, who is in, I guess you would call that group number 3 for today. He's got we'll have a podium finish for him, obviously, because he's the only driver here in that particular classification in that BMW E30. So we're ready to go back green in a moment. The drivers work their way down to turn 11. They'll be winding their way up the hill. They'll come through 14, and then off of turn number 16, we should see the green flag back in the air once again as Rachel Heiler will take the safety car down into the paddock area, and we will be ready to go green. There's that replay once again as they head down to turn number 1. That's the initial start of the race, and Raiden Nickel brakes hard on the outside. You see the tire smoke coming out of that. Nickel barrels it into turn 1. He gets control of it, though, before he gets off in the sand pit, and Nickel is able to get the lead. Let's look at this on the outside. Raiden Nickel with that green color on his race car. He just powers off turn number 1, Mikey, and is able to take the lead. There was a situation with William Layton over in turn number 4 as he came to rest. Did not hit the wall. That's a good thing for Layton there that he did not hit the wall in turn 4. We're lined up, ready to go back. We've got one car that has taken his way down pit lane. Raiden Nickel down on the inside. He will lead us back to green as we are now 14 minutes into this 20-lap race.
As they'll make their way to the start-finish line.
That was Layton's car. Layton's car that took it into the pits. He felt like it was not good to continue on, so he took that car into the paddock. They're going to check that out and see if he can get out there for the afternoon race. Raiden Nickel sets sail once again as he goes up into turn number 3. Raiden Nickel trying to see if he can best the rest of these guys right now. He's got a couple of Folgers behind him and the rest of the field of drivers in our group number 2 radical downforce cars.
Raiden Nickel defending the inside on that restart, so kind of the opposite of what he did at the race start. Oh, a big lock up from the third-place car, but he'll make the move.
Wow.
I think that was Greg Folger making the move on Adam Brickley.
Yeah, Folger able to take that spot away. That, again, is one of those areas where it's a great passing zone, and even if you lock up the brakes, you would think that would be such a detriment, but he was able to turn it down underneath and come out with the second-place spot there, so a good job by Folger getting that second-place spot over Brickley. They work their way into turn 12 right now as they head up the hill. Meanwhile, Raiden Nickel leads this group. He's already down in turn 14.
Here's a replay of that pass we had for second, and like you said, locked up the tires here. We see the tire smoke. Not too much of a lockup, but extended that braking zone.
Yeah, and Brickley went a little high as he came off the side of that, so Brickley went a little wide on the turn, and that allowed Folger to come underneath and take that spot away. Here's another shot of that from a different angle. Now we're back to live action as the 93 of Raiden Nickel leads us up around the tower, and there's your second place and third place cars going through there. We've got that red car that we have determined who the red SR3
Bill
is.
Swadling.
And Whiteley takes it up into turn 4 right now. Meanwhile, Raiden Nickel is already through turn 6 as the laps start winding down. We are at 16 and a half minutes, so I'm going to say another 2 laps or so. We should see the white flag and get the last lap of this one done. Then we'll take our break and come back for the afternoon's action from groups 1 and 2. Oh, got another spin on the track right now.
So looks like he's trying to get fired up. 139, Andrew Nett.
Came off turn number 6. He's sitting right down there in front of us here in the tower. As he came off 6, that car just went a bit sideways.
There's a replay of it. Yeah, just spun exiting turn 6.
And that, I think that's the 138. I believe that's Folger in that 138 car that spun
138 or
down
139?
139 possibly. It has 3 numbers. I can't tell exactly what they are, but I believe it's a 3-numbered car.
Well, he was able to fire it back up and get it continued, so won't put a stop to the race. Here's the best battle on the track is for the second and third position. Greg Folger and Adam Brickley. Red Nickel, yeah, just continuing business as usual after the restart, driving away from the field.
Yeah, Folger and Bickley, that's heating up once again. This is the area where Folger got by him earlier. They're coming down to turn 6. Let's see what happens on this lap. Once again, look at this. Folger looks to the inside as Bickley looks to the inside as Folger goes wide. So I believe Bickley's going to take that spot away once again in the number 1 car. Yeah, Bickley now going to go back up to second spot. So Brickley put him in second position as he tries to chase down Raiden Nickel.
And I don't think we've seen the last of that pass in turn 6. It seems to be a popular passing zone, so look forward to seeing that this lap, if he can stay with him. Ray Nickel kind of checked out here, so not too much of a worry from the second and third place cars. As you see Raiden come out of 15 into 16, make his way into the front stretch.
William Layton is back on the track once again. 78 car, another adventure for him, and he's back on track once again. So Layton just having some difficulty with the handling of this car here today. So Brickley continues to hold on in second spot, and he makes his way now behind Greg Folger, and that battle is starting to get a little bit spread out on the racetrack. They're still trying to chase down Raiden Nickel, but they have separated themselves on the track quite a bit now as they head up into turn number 4.
Brickley in second place. Yeah, opened up a little bit of a lead. Ran about a second faster than Greg Folger that lap. So Folger won't be in position to make the move in turn 6 like he's done before.
It looked like for a while there that Folger had the better car. He had gotten by him and was pulling away from Brickley, but all of a sudden Brickley is now had the advantage, and he's up into second position. They worked their way by. It probably will be coming up to the final lap this time. We're 19 minutes into this race, so we should see white flag coming out this time around. Raiden Nickel will work his way off turn 16. Here we see Nickel coming into view as he heads by our vantage point. And, nope, not white flag yet. That will be, now white flag is being displayed. There comes Nickel by. He is in the 93, so he has just now come by.
Brickley in second. He'll take the white flag as well. Opened up quite a lead over Folger, so not under threat to lose that second position. So, yeah, Ray Nickel has caught a lapped car.
Yeah, I think he's going to have to contend with that lap car on this final lap. I believe that William Layton possibly, that's who I consider will probably be that car. And no problem with him. He gets him down into turn number 6. He gives way and lets Raiden have the inside of the racetrack. So that's William Layton in the 78 car, who has had a quite adventurous day in that car. Let's hope that the undercarriage and everything is good for him as he gets ready for our second race of the day coming up. So cars pretty evenly spaced out, at least nobody in danger of being passed at the moment unless some off-road adventure comes their way. Raiden Nickel will be coming into view here in just a moment off turn number 16 as he will see the checkered flag wave. It'll be young Raiden Nickel out of Houston, Georgia, with the win this afternoon. Here comes Nickel as he blasts off turn 16. Checkered flag is in the air, and Raiden Nickel will be our winner here in the downforce cars. In second place, well, there's William Layton going by. He is going to be the driver that's at the end of the field. There is our second place finisher. That is Adam Brickley, so he will take second spot. In third, that is the 139.
That was 138 to Greg Folger. 139 was Andrew Nagy.
Of all the numbers that are available, you have a 138 and a 139 right together. They're very hard to distinguish on the racetrack.
Yeah, the font that they use on the cars is kind of hard to tell from here. But
well, a good race this afternoon from our drivers as the field continues to work their way around. There you see the final finishers coming into view, and they will take the checkered flag, and that will end our day of racing action for the morning. We'll take a break and be back this afternoon, and this will be the one for all the marbles. That's where we'll get the podium finishes coming up this afternoon as Group 1 and Group 2 will come out on the track a little later on. Final driver comes by, and that will end the morning shift for us here at Atlanta Motorsports Park. We'll be back this afternoon with more action. We hope you'll tune in then and see the races. Our canopy of clouds seems to be clearing up somewhat. The track is pretty dry. You see the gray area all around the racetrack right now. So I think we're in for a good afternoon of racing action. Mikey, it's been a pleasure so far this morning, and we'll reconvene here in just a little while as we get set for the afternoon's racing.
Yeah, it looks like we have, after the lunch break, the grid will open for Group 1 for their final at 1:30 with a grid release at 1:45. So looking forward to that race. We had a little bit of everything in these past couple races. Right now, we have open lapping for members from 12:05 to 12:30. Open lapping for members. Grid will open for Group 1 at 1:30. So
All right, continue, drivers. Your grid opens at 1:30, so drivers be aware, crews be aware. Grid opens at 1:30 for Group 1, 1:30 for Group 1. We'll take our lunch break and be back. 1:30 is grid time for Group number 1. Coming up, race results. I never found the right thing.
Yeah, it was up. I had it.
I try to do it when they're not in front of you.
Under Summer Championship Series Round 5?
Yeah.
All right, all drivers, we got about 20 minutes to go on lunch break. The grid is going to open back up at 1:30. All drivers, if you can hear me. Spec E30, Spec Miata, your grid will open at 1:30.
Can I have your attention, please? In the paddock area, grid is now open for group number 1. Grid is now open for group 1, so let's get all those cars to the grid. Grid is now open for group number 1. We'll have grid release coming up soon, and our race for group number 1 coming your way in just a few minutes. Grid open right now. Welcome back to Atlanta Motorsports Park. We're getting ready for real racing to go on. We've had qualifying and we've had group racing in the beginning to set the field for this afternoon's events. And right now we're set as the grid has been released. They're behind the safety car and on their way down into turn number 1 right now as they'll get set for our first lap. I'm Charles Head along with Mikey Lane, and we'll bring you the action this afternoon as we get to racing. So, Mikey, we got a new group of drivers on the racetrack. We've already seen them out so far. Jose Garcia was the driver who set the pace early on in this race, and he was very, very strong, especially in the beginning of the race. But Keith Williamson was coming on as the race ended, so it may be a great race as we get ready to take off in a moment.
I'm excited for this one, Charles. I think the race between Garcia and Williamson is going to be one to watch. Williamson charged hard through the field last race, and he wasn't quite able to get there, but now with this race start, he'll be right at the bumper of Garcia. Looking forward to a good race.
We always see Jose Garcia run strong at this track. I've been really impressed with Keith Williamson today. Ran some of the fastest laps of anybody on the racetrack, and he did that while he was trying to chase down Jose. He did not start at the front of the field. He had to work his way up there, and it took him a while to get past the other cars, but Keith Williamson may be a formidable foe for Jose today.
And worth mentioning, Bill Kring in the 91 had that pass-through penalty in the first race, kind of cost him the race, and then had a little spin off track in turn 6. So some troubles navigating turn 6 for Bill Kring. It is worth mentioning the sun is out, the track is dry, so it shouldn't be a problem.
Quite a difference from this early morning when the track was not as pretty and gray as it is now. We had some moisture on the racetrack. That may have plagued some of the drivers early in the beginning of this race, but that is not a situation right now as the track is different. So have the drivers had to anticipate the higher temperatures now with some tire pressure changes? That is possibly the case. The rest of our field, by the way, is Yusuf Muhammad in the number 4, Bill Kring, as you mentioned, in the number 91, who had those issues going earlier. Bill Miller is in the 5 car. Now, Jordan Coker is a driver who is in a different division. He is in that red BMW, the E30 BMW, so he is running in a different class, but we're running 2 classes within this same race.
Yeah, even though just a different class, just looking to have fun, racing other people, taking the race starts. It's always different being out there with people that are trying to set fast laps, so a lot of good fun to be had. As you see the pace car pass the turn 15 Marshall stand as they're gridded up 2 by 2 by 2, 3 rows.
The safety car will be coming off the racetrack. We will go green this time by. I think that's the plan as they come up turn 16. They'll come across the stripe, and we'll go green here in just a moment. Brett Landry is set to wave the green flag and get this race underway. There you see him slowly coming down the front. I guess we call that the front straightaway. It's right in front of our tower area, the longest straightaway on the track. And the green flag is in the air. They take their way down to turn 1. That has been an adventurous turn. Take us through turn 1, Mikey.
As they make their way through turn 1, Jose Garcia on the inside. He'll keep the lead. Keith Williamson right behind him as they shuffle out all single file as they head into turn 2.
Well, Williamson is right there behind him, no more than a car length's difference between those two right now. They work their way up through turn 4, the carousel turn, but Bill Kring is right there behind Williamson. Now, Kring had that penalty earlier, but he is a strong car, and he and Williamson are going to have a good race right now as they go down the hill towards 6.
Bill Kring looking to put the woes of last race behind him and charge his way to the front. Keith Williamson already made the charge, so all the hard work has paid off. He is towards the front. And these first 3 cars all very close to each other as we have a tight battle as they head down into turn 10.
Yeah, Keith Williamson is not letting Jose Garcia get that big lead like he did early on in the race. They are staying pretty tight right now. So they're working their way down toward turn 11, and we'll see the drivers disappear there off into turn 12 in that outer area. But what a great race we got going on right now with Jose Garcia, your leader. Keith Williamson running second. Bill Kring is third. Yusuf Muhammad is fourth in the 4 car. Bill Miller, we should see him working his way through pretty strongly. He is in the number 9 car. And Jordan Coker in a class all by himself in that red BMW.
And big difference from the first race is that they were all able to get single file as they went into turn 3, and they were able to keep their speed up. So Jose not able to jump out to that lead as they head on the front stretch. Jose is going to defend the inside. Keith Williamson looks on the outside, Now looks on the inside. He's going to decide he's going to brake behind him. Will not make the move as
Boy,
they head into turn 1.
Williamson is really keeping the pressure on Jose. They work their way up the hill right now. Jose Garcia still your leader. Maybe 2 car lengths the difference between those two right now, as Williamson starting to pull away a little bit from Kring, but he has still got Jose right in his sights as they head through the carousel in 4.
It looked like Kring kind of had a bad exit on turn 1. It was took it a little wide, got on the rumble strips maybe a little more than he wanted to. But he'll be able to continue still at a fast pace as they head into turn 6. This is the braking zone where we've seen a lot of action happen in the last 2 races. No one in striking zone this race or this lap.
They make their way down toward turn 7 right now. Bill Miller is working up tight on Yusuf Muhammad. That's a good battle going on between those two. So we're starting to see a battle heat up now between the 9 of Bill Miller and, the 5 of Bill Miller and the 4 of Yusuf Muhammad.
Up the hill into turn 12 into that blind turn that we've talked about. You'll see Jordan Coker at the bottom of the screen. He is in last place of the field, but first place in his division. So he's just out there turning laps just for fun.
This is a 20-minute race, and we're just a minute or so in. Couple of laps in the books so far as Jose Garcia continues to lead it. Here comes Jose off 16. He's got about a 6-car length now lead over Williamson. So Williamson having to pedal a little harder to try to catch up with our leader, Jose Garcia. They work through turn number 1. They make it cleanly through there. Williamson doing a good job on exit and actually tightens up some on Jose as they work up the hill.
It seems like on this first part of the track, Williamson is a little faster than Garcia, and it's on that back half where Garcia extends his lead. Wasn't under pressure in turn 1, so didn't have to defend, so Garcia able to get a good entrance and exit in turn 1. Although Williamson closing in on Garcia, will he be in range in turn 6 for this pass? As they head down the hill to the brake zone, Williamson on the brakes, looks on the inside, not going to get there.
Yeah, but I tell you what, he's keeping the pressure on Jose. There's no question about that. Jose's got more pressure on him than he's had all day long. Williamson following along now, and we've got a battle going on between Bill Miller really looking to the inside, trying to get the move on Yusuf Muhammad that time. Muhammad's able to pull back away from him, but they got side by side there for a moment coming out of turn 6.
They were side by side, and Miller was on. He had the preferred line on the inside, but just couldn't keep his speed up.
Well, they work down toward the back side of the track right now. They're in 13 and 14, and those cars making their way by with Jose Garcia still your leader. We'll see Jose emerge from that tree line in just a moment. He'll have Keith Williamson right behind him. Williamson now still closing
right
the gap.
him.
You know, you mentioned Garcia having a bit of an advantage at that point of the racetrack, but now Williamson has tightened it up. He's right on the back bumper of Jose. Again, he looks on the high side while Jose tries to go to the low side. They get back more single file as they head to turn 1.
Jose had to defend turn 1 there, and he did it perfectly. He's able to keep the lead, but Williamson just right on the back bumper of Garcia. I mean, we had talked about Garcia having a little more of an advantage on that second half of the track. Not the case this lap. Garcia barely in the lead here as they enter the carousel. Williamson.
It looked to me like that Jose took that corner a little hot. It looked like the rear end of that car slid around a little bit, and that allowed Keith Williamson to come up and close the gap. Now they go into 6. Look at this. Williamson down to the inside. Oh, he can't do it. What a great shot. What a great move by Williamson. But Jose able to use those rumble strips to get a little wider. He keeps the momentum up, and still a car length and a half separate those two drivers as they head down to turn 8.
It was a similar situation that we saw Bill Miller and Yusuf Muhammad get into, where that inside line, he was there, just couldn't keep his speed up and complete the pass on the corner exit. So Jose Garcia keeps his lead.
You saw Williamson, just as the cars disappeared into turn 13, you saw Williamson look to the inside of Garcia. Now, I don't know how that will play out once they make that big turn as they come off 14, but we'll find out in just a moment. Williamson was really closing in. Let's see, there you see him, still tight on Jose Garcia as they work their way off 14 and 15 and up the hill.
Staying right behind him in the draft on the front straight. Garcia has to defend that inside. Williamson right behind him.
Now, every lap before, Williamson has gone to the inside. Garcia has broken the draft by going down low. That time they stayed right in each other's tire tracks, and for Jose Garcia, that was a good thing because now he's separated by about 4 car lengths over Keith Williamson.
Opening up a little bit of an advantage, but I think it's not over. Williamson, with a strong car and a strong performance, looking to get back to the bumper of Garcia. As they come out of the carousel, I don't think Williamson will be in range for this pass unless he completely sends it here.
Yeah, this is always a critical corner. That hairpin turn down in number 6. Williamson trying to gain a little bit of an advantage. Garcia still pulls away with about the same lead that he had as they went through turn 4. Meanwhile, the drivers are working their way by now. They go into that turn as we see a great shot there of our turn down through turns 13 and 14, or turn 8 and 9. They work their way down into turn 11. Then they'll disappear as they go into turn 12 and up the hill. And there you see all alone now is
Bill Kring.
Bill Kring. And it looks like Coker's slowing a little. Of course, that car is just not up to speed with the Miatas. It's bigger, it's heavier, it's older, doesn't have quite the power the Miatas have, so he's running in a class all by himself. That is Jordan Coker back there in that 22 car, the red BMW. Meanwhile, there's your leaders. Once again, tightening up. Boy, Williamson is just not giving up on Garcia. This time he breaks that draft. He goes high. He tries to pull to the inside. He's going to try to work that corner down in turn 1. Jose comes through the corner, and this time executes it perfectly. A little bit of smoke trailing out of the back of Williamson's car on corner exit. They head to turn 2. Now up turn 3 into the carousel, the tank turn. Williamson looks to the inside of Garcia. Can he make the move? No, he tucks back in single file behind Jose. Down into turn number 6. Keith Williamson really into this race. He's doing his best to try to overtake Jose Garcia. He looks to the inside. Look at this run he's got on him. Jose trying to battle back, but Williamson has a run on him on the outside. Who's going to make it down to turn 7 first? It's going to be Jose, who pulls him back in line as they work through those little bit of S's heading off of turn 7 and 8.
And I just received word that Jose Garcia has been black flagged for blocking.
Oh, wow.
The incident occurred 3 laps ago, so he'll have to serve a pass-through penalty this lap.
Well, I saw him in turn 14 point the flag at him. I didn't know exactly what that foul was or what the situation was. Now we've got a replay. Check this out. This is Mohammed Yusuf, or Yusuf Mohammed, and there you see just behind him
Bill Miller.
Bill Miller in the number 5. And you see Jordan Coker go by in his number 22 car as well. So now this changes the complexion of this race. Jose Garcia has been black flagged. He has not yielded to that penalty at this point. So he is completely disqualified. So Keith Williamson is now the leader of this race, but Williamson doesn't know that. So is he going to push his car to the limit and cause a problem for himself? He doesn't know that he is actually going to be the race leader at this point.
Yeah, well, as far as points paying goes, yeah, Williamson is going to be the leader. I think Williamson is not going to really consider this a win unless he passes Garcia. So I think
you're
he's
right.
Still try to race him hard here, even though Garcia is on the track, not currently being scored.
So Williamson still battling Garcia, even though Garcia has been disqualified. It's Williamson in the 64 battling strong, and I agree with you, Mikey. I think that he would think it is a victory if he could get by Jose, but if he doesn't, it's sort of a hollow victory for him. They head down to turn 11. Bill Miller has gotten by
Yusuf Muhammad.
So put Miller now. He will be scored up in 4th position.
Well, 3rd position because
yeah, right. 3rd position in
so
reality
big,
because Jose is out. Yeah, so a good podium run for him so far in this race. That's still a good battle going on, though. Yusuf Muhammad has the opportunity to try to work his way back around him because we're just past the halfway point of this race, so still a lot of laps to go. Williamson on the back bumper of Garcia. This is a sort of a moot point right now, but Williamson doesn't know that as he heads into turn 1.
Williamson, he kind of set him up here. He might get a good exit on turn 1 as he elected to take the outside, cut in the bottom. Jose is still in the lead, or not in the lead, in front of Williamson, as he's not being scored.
Up to the top of the hill, Williamson once again, as far as he is concerned, he is battling Garcia for the top spot. They work their way off of the carousel turn. They head down the steep hill going into turn number 6. This is where we've seen so many people have difficulties today as they lock the tires up. Jose goes wide. It's Williamson looking down underneath, still coming off turn number 6 just as they went in, with about a car and a half length separating those two machines.
And so when Jose was black flagged, I mean, Williamson was right behind, so he might have seen the black flag. He might know that something,
He may well know, because as we said in turn 14, that the flag stand at that point pointed at him.
And then he got the actual black flag in turn 1. It's very obvious it was for him.
Yeah, so Williamson now being shown the leader. So Williamson is our leader. Bill Crane runs in second. Bill Miller in third. And Yusuf Muhammad is fourth. With Jordan Coker all by himself. He's coming into turn 6 right now. He's all by himself in a whole different division. Here they come. Williamson, your leader in that 94 car. Do not be dismayed. It is not the 00 of Jose Garcia who is the leader. He has been disqualified so far. But Williamson still on the attack, trying to beat Garcia on the racetrack.
A little tire lockup from Williamson. He drove deep into turn 1, right on the back bumper of Jose. So even though Jose is not being scored, has been disqualified, this is the tightest battle on the racetrack.
And Williamson looks to the inside. Once again, he's got a little bit of an advantage on Garcia as they go through that portion of the racetrack. But here's the all-important turn number 6. They come down. Williamson goes to the inside. Has he got a chance to make the move on Garcia? Yes, he will come out. Now, can the momentum carry him to the lead in turn 7? No, Jose shoots back into the top spot over Williamson. And all of that effort for naught as Jose goes back into the top spot ahead of Williamson, and now Williamson on the move once again. Keith trying to take it down into turn number 11.
He does.
Williamson's got a great advantage now. He may have this over Jose. He may actually get the victory of the battle between those guys. It doesn't really matter in scoring, but it does to Keith Williamson.
I think for between the two racers, points aside, they want to beat each other on track, and Williamson tried hard every lap, and he was able to make the move down in turn 11. He set him up through those turns and was able to make the pass.
Yeah, Williamson now with a handy lead coming off turn number 14. It's Williamson stretching that lead out. You wonder if just because he couldn't get by Jose, if he might not have had the faster car, but just as I say that, Jose starts to close things in as they go to 1.
Down into turn 1, Jose looking on the inside. He'll take back the track position and will be in front of Keith Williamson.
Wow, what a good race for those guys. They're going strong as they head into the carousel turn.
Both will hug that inside line. Right on the back bumper of Jose is Keith Williamson as they'll head down the hill into turn 6. This is where the move started. We'll see if Williamson can set him up again this lap.
Well, he did a good job of that last time by. This time Jose doesn't go nearly as wide. He doesn't allow him to outbreak him and get down to the inside. We're 3/4 of the way through, just past the 15-minute mark. And so 3/4 of the way through this race, a little less than 5 minutes to go to finish up this for group number 1. Keith Williamson is your race leader right now in the 94 car. And so we'll watch him as he and Jose Garcia continue to battle on track, although Garcia has now been disqualified from this race. But Williamson leads the race, even though he and Garcia are still battling hard as they go over to that big ring over in turns 13, 14, 15.
And we just come up on 16 minutes in this race, so about 4 minutes left. Probably a couple laps. Williamson's going to want to still get around Jose. And he looks like he might have a chance here as he's right on the back bumper of Jose as they head through turn 16 onto the front stretch. We'll see if he can draft up and make the move.
Now there he's taking a outside look at that draft situation. Now he's
Oh.
going to the inside, trying to see if he can outbreak him down to the inside. Williamson has a bit of an advantage. Can Garcia pull back alongside? Who's got the most power? That's the question now as they head down toward turn 3. Jose back to pull in again to the lead. Williamson
Oh, a
right
little
on his
bump.
bumper, and a little bit of contact from those drivers as they head up to the carousel.
Jose had the outside, so a little more exit speed and was able to pull up the hill. And then Williamson gave him a little tap as they entered the carousel. But still very close, about 1 car length separating them as they head into turn 6.
Yeah, 16 and a half minutes in, 3.5 to go. How many more times will they go through turn 6? Probably 3 or 4 more times. So Williamson, even though it is not indicative of the race win, he still wants to win that battle on the track with Jose Garcia. They head down into turn 9 right now. They make their way down as Jose's rear end slides out just a bit on him as he slings the car. He gets down into turn number 11 and still has about a 1.5 car length lead on Williamson. But it looks like Keith is closing in a bit again.
He tightened up there at the top of turn 12. We won't be able to see here as they go through 13 and 14. We'll catch them as they come around the corner from the trees.
And there you see the tail end of the field as they work their way by. I understand that Jordan Coker is in a whole different deal. He is not playing possum, and I understand possum is a word you might be familiar with.
It's a long story for another time, Charles.
Well, I was told to bring it up, and we'd tell that story while we were here. So the possum story is yet to come later on.
Coming up
Anyway, right now, Jose Garcia still leading Keith Williamson. Williamson battling hard. He's pedaling hard as he can to try to get by Jose as the laps wind down.
Not much time left in this race. Williamson looking to pass Jose on track, even though he is scored as the leader. He'll want to know that he was the best driver on this day, regardless of the scoring. Down into turn 6 they go.
Yeah, probably the next to last time they'll go through turn 6. They might get 2 more opportunities, but Williamson, he hugs that line to the inside. Jose Garcia gets past the rumble strips, but it really doesn't matter at this point. He's disqualified anyway, but he gets all 4 tires outside the rumble strips. Anyway, here comes Williamson on the attack. They go into turn number 10 with Williamson still trailing Garcia as they head into 11.
Down through 11. Up the hill into 12, that blind turn we've talked about. Williamson closed in on the back bumper of Garcia. Here's a little replay of this. I think this is of the contact right in the carousel. Williamson just gave him a little bit of a nudge there. Not enough to upset any of the cars.
Yeah, I'd call that bump drafting, I think, almost.
Well, it wasn't in a straight line, so I don't know if they would see it as that.
Yeah, it doesn't officially fit the definition of bump drafting, but anyway, pretty close.
And here, into turn 16, side by side. A treacherous spot to be side by side in as they come past the tower here on the start-finish line.
Yeah, white flag is out. They'll have one more opportunity as they get to turn 6. Williamson knows that is a great passing spot. He has missed the opportunity in turn 1 now for the final time, so he knows he has the opportunity in turn 6. Williamson still trying to win this battle over Jose Garcia, although it matters not as far as scoring is concerned. But right now they work up through turn 4 in the carousel. Williamson has got to be proud that he has stayed right there with Jose the entire race.
He did make the pass in turn 1. He's looking in turn 6. This might be his last chance. Down to the braking zone. He is not going to go on the inside. Maybe he'll try to set him up here. Last time he made the pass, it was actually in turn 10 and 11, so maybe setting him up here as they make their way through turn 8.
Yeah, let's see what he does this time. They go through 8. They go through 9 and 10. Now let's check out what happens in turn 11. Williamson not close enough right now to work his way by Jose. He does tighten up as they go into 11. We saw this before. He tightened up in turn 12 as well. It may be anybody's guess as to who comes out with the lead once we get that vantage point off turn number 14 again.
The way Williamson has stayed on the back bumper of Garcia in these 15 and 16, these final turns, we might have a drag race to the line here as they'll pop out from the trees here any second.
It's
Right,
Garcia
side
and
by
Williamson
side.
almost side by side. Now Williamson looks to the inside over Garcia. They get ready to head down the front straightaway. Williamson goes high. He tries to make the pass as they come to start finish. It is going to be Keith Williamson, obviously, with the win, although Jose Garcia finished on the track ahead of him. Garcia was disqualified in that race for blocking, and so Garcia has now been relegated to not even a last place finish, but disqualified completely in this race. So Keith Williamson will get the win this afternoon in the 94, and he drove one of the best races I've seen Keith drive. I'm very impressed with him and the way this car has handled today. The number 94 looks a little different. It feels different for him, and a different outcome than he's had in the past. So congratulations to him. Bill Miller will hang on. Bill Crane will hang on for a second place spot. Bill Miller will finish in third in the 5. Yusuf Muhammad will finish fourth in the number 4 car, and Jordan Coker will round out his field. He'll take the win in his class as well in the E30. So that's the way they'll end up this afternoon. Congratulations. Our podium finish, it'll be Keith Williamson, Bill Crane, and Bill Miller. And then also on the podium will be Jordan Coker for his division. Downforce cars are ready to come out on the track. You see them already in the pit area. They've all got set there. They'll be getting the grid set up in just a moment for these drivers as our final driver goes by. There, that is Jordan Coker to take the checkered flag. We'll get the track clear. We'll run across it with the safety car to make sure everything is clear, no debris or anything on the track. We'll get ready to bring out group number 2. That's our downforce cars. The Radicals will be on the track very soon.
All right, all downforce drivers, go ahead and start making your way to the grid. Start making your way to the grid. We have an angry cloud behind us, so if we could get you guys already set up into the grid, we can get this race started, hopefully finish this up under clear skies and a dry track. But it looks like you guys are already down there and in your cars, so go ahead and start making your way to the grid. We'll get you all on track, and we'll get this race started. All right, we got cars taken to the grid. I'm your host, not Charles Head, alongside Mikey Lane. As we're waiting on Charles to get back up here in the booth, though, we got Radicals on track right now. It's shaping up to be an exciting race number 2 today, Mikey.
Cars on track. We have an angry cloud behind us, so trying to expedite the process here. Everyone got to the bottom of the end of the grid in a pretty hastily order. So
I will say, if you were following that forecast all week, today has been an exceptionally good day of racing because it was not looking pretty from start to finish. Even waking up today didn't look pretty. And let me tell you, we woke up. The Lord was merciful. He said, here, I'm going to give you 3 hours of dry conditions. Go ahead and run your races, boys. And so that cloud's slowly creeping in behind us right now, so we're going to try and get this race underway and try and get 20 minutes of dry green lap action. And the man himself back in the booth, Charles Head.
Yeah, along with Mikey Possum Lane. Glad to have him here in
I guess we're going to do this now, aren't we?
I guess we're going to do this, yeah. So Will has cued me in, so cue the listeners and viewers in on the possum story, Mr. Lane.
So I currently moved in with my good friend here, Will. He's got a spot in the basement, and he's got a little, he calls it the catio. It's a little spot under the patio where his cats go out, and there's a cat door. And what was it, 5 o'clock in the morning at some point, a possum decided it wanted to sneak in through the door and come to my room and leave a surprise in the closet. So, yeah, about, what was it, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, I come in over to Will, and I said, well, I think there's a raccoon in my bedroom. And he said, what? And we looked under the bed, and then, sure enough, looking right back at us is those glowing eyes of a possum hissing at us. Then, of course, it chased us all around the downstairs. And
well, I think I saw you at one point climbing a chair, if I'm not mistaken.
I jumped on top of a couch. It came right towards me. I feared for my life. But enough of me. We got racing about to happen here. As Ray Nickel is going to lead the field here as they are stacked up and ready to go.
Well, we'll get him going here in a minute. Raiden Nickel, the youngster, starts out on the front row for this one right now for our group number 2. It's Raiden Nickel alongside Adam Brickley, and we are ready to roll as they take him down to turn number 1.
Green flag is out through turn 1. They all make it through all right.
Had a chance to talk to Greg Folger and his dad, Pete Folger, during our lunch break. Got to talk with them and enjoyed talking. I actually talked also with Will Layton, and he said he had a very adventurous race. He said nothing was damaged on the race car. He said he had a little bit of sand in his mouth after the whole thing was over with, but he was glad to get it back out. He said he just felt like wasn't good to continue, but he is set to go right now because he had a bit of agricultural racing going on in race number 1. Let's check them out right now as they come off turn number 6.
Off of turn 6, all single file right now. A little bit of a battle happening towards the back of the field. We'll get numbers on those cars and tell you who it is. Ray Nickel took the green flag. He is still the leader.
Yeah, Raiden Nickel leads them up in through turn. He's about in turn 14 right now as they start to work their way down 13 and 14 in that combination of turns. Raiden Nickel, your leader. Adam Brickley started that race in second spot. We'll have to see how they come out of that tree line area over in turn number 14 to know. It looks like Nickel has quite an advantage right now. The youngster has just really come to the forefront, so we'll see Raiden Nickel come by. He will complete lap number 1. Nickel is your first place car. In second place, it is, I think Adam Brickley is still hanging on to second place. Greg Folger is third. Bill Swatling is fourth. It's Pete Folger in fourth. That is the dad. Will Layton is up to fifth spot. Andrew Nagy and Reed Paul round out our field right now.
I don't believe Reed Paul has made the grid, though.
Reed
he was
Paul
not
did
in
not
race
come
1.
out.
I don't think he's in race 2.
I got you. Okay, so he did not come out on the racetrack. Leaders down into turn number 6 as our drivers work their way through the field. We got a couple of almost going side by side that time out of the carousel turn. They now make their entrance into turn number 6. Let's see how this shakes out for those two drivers. They're side by side in turn 6, looking down to the inside, not able to make the pass there.
That is Pete Folger and Will Layton battling for, I guess it is the 4th and 5th position, because Bill Swatling is in the SR3.
Yeah, Bill Swatling's in that red SR3. So that was one that we can certainly keep our eye on there. Meanwhile, Raiden Nickel continues to lead. There's a side-by-side battle once again as Layton continues to try to battle in that section. Here comes Raiden Nickel by all alone there. Adam Brickley is in second spot, and Brickley is just traveling by himself. Raiden Nickel is far out front, and behind him that battle with Swatling and the others way behind. So right now it's Adam Brickley just all alone in second position as he works up behind Raiden Nickel. Nickel tops the hill at the highest point on the racetrack. He'll go to turn 4 and trouble
Spin on the front stretch.
on the front straightaway. Wow.
And we'll try to get a replay of that. That's 139. I think that's Andrew Nagy. Spun.
Let's see. Here's the replay of what happened. Nagy just loses it. You know, the weight shift is very different coming off turn 16 here. That's why they are such a big runoff area there. You expect that car just doesn't, the weight shift on that car doesn't do what you expect it to do. Here's another shot of that as they come around. And around he goes. Lucky he didn't get into that mess off of turn 16. No contact with the wall or anything. Very fortunate that he kept that pretty much in a straight line in his spin. So here's another shot of Nagy as he comes off 16. You'll see him coming to your screen here in just a moment. So there's Nagy. The rear end of that car just cuts loose on him as the weight shift changes on that race car, and around it goes.
You can almost see the rear wheels kind of pick up. You can see the sunlight under the car as it bounced up. A miracle he didn't hit at the wall. That's the fastest part of the track. Not the place you want to spin.
Right, and a very treacherous part on the racetrack. We don't talk about it often because it is coming to the checkered flag or coming to the flag stand or the loop start-finish line, but that is a very treacherous spot. We see a lot of hard hits many times on that wall there, and that's why the sand pit has been put in front of that, but Nagy loses at that time coming off 16. All right, our battle ensues once again. We're down into Raiden Nickel, still your leader. There's the battle going on in turn number 1. They are all behind Swatling. It's Swatling, Will Layton, and Pete Folger, and Layton having a far better race than he had first time out. Look at Layton go.
He is learning from his past experience in race 1. He's able to pass Bill Swatling there.
Well, that's great for Will Layton. That has moved him up to 4th position in the race. And as we said, his first race of the day, he was not impressed with himself. He told me, he said, I let myself down. He said, I've eaten enough sand for the day. Not going to get in the sand trap again. He said, I learned a lot. But nothing bad on the car. I asked him all about the race car. Was there any problem with it? He said, we thought there might have been, but we checked out all the suspension. We checked out everything underneath, and it's fine to go. He said it was just time to pull in. I had lost so much time on it at that point. We wanted to get ready for the second race, and he's proving in the second race that he's got something for the rest of this field now as he runs 3rd. Check that, runs 4th.
And with the drier track and the sun out, maybe these conditions favor him a little more. As he's run a good race so far, able to make some passes and keep it on the track. He's probably going to be picking sand out of his fire suit for the next couple months.
I would think that's the case. On the fastest lap that time by, I believe, was Adam Brickley. He ran a little faster than Raiden Nickel. Nickel has been setting the pace, of course, at the very beginning of this race, but Brickley obviously closing in a little bit because he ran his fastest lap that last lap faster than Nickel. So a little bit of closing, but Raiden has such an advantage over him right now. I'm not sure that there's any catching him unless we have some kind of a situation on the track where we have a full course caution and it brings everybody bunched back up together again. Or some mechanical issue or something befalls Raiden Nickel.
Yeah, Raiden Nickel has picked up this race where he left off race 1 in the lead by a lot.
So right now the rest of our drivers work through turn number 6. There you see Will Layton and Bill Swatling come through that area, as well as Pete Folger. So those drivers working through turn number 6. There you see them coming off of turn number 1 again, as you saw the condos in the shot. We're heading into turn number 11 right now with those same trio of drivers as they work their way up into 12. And that's starting to spread out a little bit between all 3 of those right now.
Yeah, Layton, he was battling pretty hard with Pete Folger, but once they caught Bill, he passed him, and Pete still has not been able to get around that SR3 of Bill Swatling. So
Yeah,
Will Layton extending his lead over Pete Folger.
Pete's the dad, and Greg is the son. And right now, Greg, the son, is outdoing the dad. Greg runs in third spot behind Brickley and behind Radon Nickel. There you see Swatling and Pete Folger battling on the front straightaway. You see Will Layton take his car down into turn number 1. And there you see Swatling go into turn 1. Car's going very slow there. That's a difficult turn. It is a turn where you have to go more than a 90-degree, about 110-degree turn or so, and they have to really power those things down. You saw Layton just get on the gas too late, spin the tires, and go out into the sand in the earlier race, but they really have to slow down as they get to turn 1. This time it's a power move coming off turn number 5. And again, they got to slow down quickly and make that hairpin turn into turn number 6.
Turn 1 and turn 6, both the slowest turns on the track. We see all the passes, or most of the passes, happen in those braking zones. Both turn 1 and turn 6 are downhill, so just an extra added element of difficulty.
Yeah, it'd be hard to gauge your speed. You could, if it were flat ground, you could gauge your speed as to how much you need to brake. But when you're going downhill and you're somewhat off camber, it makes it far more difficult to try to brake on a flat surface that's going downhill at a greater than 90 degree. Radon Nickel is bringing his car now down. I believe Nickel is, well, I'm trying to check out and find out exactly where Radon is on the racetrack.
I saw him in turn 8 just a second ago, so he's quite ahead from the rest of the field. It's Pete Folger. Looks like he's going to make a move on Bill Swatling here.
Yeah, how about that? Folger trying to brake hard to the inside. Look at this move. It's going to be Pete taking that spot away from Bill Swatling, so put Pete Folger up one more spot.
And so now Pete Folger sets his sights on Will Layton. They had battled early in this race. Quite the gap in between them, but if maybe Pete Folger is faster and he just couldn't get around Bill, and now he can set sail.
Well, basically the first half of this race is over. We've got just a few seconds over a half of the lap of the race left. Look at this. Swatling once again tightening up on Folger. This is at turn number 6. Swatling looks to the inside, but he has to get on the brakes so hard that Folger's able to pull away once again.
We saw that a lot in that Miata race where that inside line is just not fast. If you have a car on your outside, you can keep it in the gas, or get on the gas early rather, and you can be able to drive up the hill. So
they're down heading up turn 12. It's Folger in that group right there. Folger, and the red car is Bill Swatling. Meanwhile, here's an instant replay of that happening in turn number 1. Folger looked to the inside, just outbraked and outdrove Swatling at that point, and was able to take over that position. He had started the move on him back near the flag stand, and had started that move to the inside, and then he finalized it right there by getting in front of him. There you go. There you see him to the inside. And then he's able to take this. Here's another shot of that.
Oh, this is live
this
right
is live.
now.
We're live back in action as Folger is now about 8 car lengths ahead of Swatling as they head off turn 1.
So most of the field's spread out now. Not many battles happening as everyone has cemented their position here in the final race of the day. Ray Nickel is, close to lapping the field here.
Yeah, Nickel is working up the hill right now. You see Radon Nickel as, we see him from our vantage point near the water tank coming off turn 4, but he's getting ready to catch this field right here as, it looks to me like Swatling is slowing a bit in his race car. It did not seem like it had the same power, although when you look at him right now, it looks like he's back up to speed once again as he tries to chase down Pete Folger.
Yeah, maybe he had to get off the gas for whatever reason. Maybe he felt the car slipping from him and had to slow down.
And there's Radon Nickel coming through that same area, so Nickel closing in on those guys that are running in 5th and 4th place just ahead of him.
And you see the marshals getting their blue flags ready, letting the lapped cars know that a fast car, a leader, is coming behind.
There you see Swatling coming through. We'll see Radon Nickel here in just a moment. Swatling in that red SR3. All the rest of the drivers are in SR1s. And they head to turn one once again. There you see Pete Folger coming off turn one with Swatling behind him, and Raiden Nickel coming into the picture quickly in the 93 car. Nickel goes through turn number one. So I agree with you, Mikey. It's not going to be long before we see Raiden Nickel ready to overtake probably Swatling, and maybe even on the same lap, he might catch up with Pete Folger as well. So Nickel right now looks like he's just enjoying himself, having a good afternoon's ride. Here he comes down toward turn number 6. That's Raiden Nickel, your race leader, and there you see Swatling and Folger just ahead of him.
And last race, Raiden Nickel ended up catching a lap car. He made quick work. It's interesting to see, you know, when a leader catches a lap car, how they deal with the lap traffic, and Raiden Nickel blew past the lap car last race. We'll see coming up on 2 cars, so he'll have to navigate a little bit of traffic.
Well, also it depends on where he actually catches them on the racetrack. Right here, they're going up into 12. Probably he will catch them somewhere in this 13-14 combination as they work their way around the trees there. We'll see if Nickel has been able to power by them as they come off turn 14 here in just a minute. You'll see them clear the trees on the left side of your screen, and we'll find out in just a second if Nickel is able to make that pass.
So he made the pass on Bill Swatling in that red SR3. And then he still has Leighton in front of, or my bad, Pete Folger.
Yeah, here he goes inside Folger down in turn 1, so Raiden Nickel will pass him on that turn as they come off 1. It's Raiden Nickel setting sail up the hill, and then a little bit of downhill action before they get to the carousel.
I'll tell you, Raiden Nickel is so fast, it's like he's driving a different car than everyone.
Yeah, it's like he's in a class by himself.
He's in a class of his own right now. He put the car wherever he wants and go around.
You know, it hasn't been that many races ago when Raiden Nickel was just out here trying one of these out. He was just trying just to see what it was like to be in a downforce car, and now he is the dominant car on the racetrack. So the youngster learns very quickly and learns very well. Apparently he has the aptitude and the mindset of a racer. There's no question about that.
As we come up on 15 minutes in this race, 5 minutes to go.
There you see Folger and Swatling as those two drivers continue to battle, but Folger has quite an advantage right now over Bill Swatling. That is Pete Folger, by the way. That's the dad. They work their way up into the top area of the track, the highest, well, almost the highest point of the track. It's the second highest point of the track as they get over toward turn 13 before they head down into 14. Meanwhile, there your leaders coming by once again as the start-finish line shows Raiden Nickel coming through that area.
And looks like he's catching Will Leighton here. So, I mean, Raiden Nickel might just lap the whole field at this point.
Yeah, I wonder if it's legal to come in a lap ahead of everybody else if you're ahead of them. I don't think that would be clown. I think you still got to take the the checkered flag at some point, so I don't think you could do that. But anyway, he would be at least the winner and the leader of this. Nickel takes it down to turn number 6 right now. You see that car going into turn 6 as he has done almost all day long. Perfect line just on the rumble strips coming off the turn on the inside and barely taps those rumble strips on the outside, on the driver's side, if you will, of the race car. So Raiden Nickel running a perfect race this afternoon and continues to put cars a lap down.
He is driving like he's got an appointment he's about to miss, but nobody told him it's a timed race. So,
well, you know, every race car driver I know is they want to go as fast as they can all day long, no matter where they are. So regardless of where the second place guy is or regardless what there, I started, so we got another spin, but it's for the second time. We've got the same spin as Andrew Nagy brought it off turn number 16 and went around, and I like it in that fast motion. That's pretty cool to see it come along like that. You know, Nagy did a great job keeping that car out of the wall. It's so typical to either spin and hit the outside wall or to just go through the sand pit and hit the inside wall, and he stayed right on the asphalt the whole time. Apparently he's been to the skid pad and learned how to do that a little bit.
I was about to say he's definitely he must have visited the skid pad. But also, I mean, keeping the clutch in, not letting the car lose power.
Right.
Just thinking of all that while you're over 100 miles an hour spinning out.
You
on the front
talked
stretch.
about muscle memory earlier today, and a lot of that I think is muscle memory. I think a lot of that is beyond the scope of having the perception to do it in the moment. You're just so used to something like that happening that you inherently know how to do it. And I think that's probably what happened with Andrew Nagy when he came off there. Raiden Nickel down into turn number 12 once again. Our time starting to wind down. We got 2.5 minutes left in this race for the group number 2 Radical cars.
There's no battles really happening on the track. Just some lap cars battling.
Everybody pretty much spaced out evenly around the racetrack. Very, very little on-track action as far as anybody being able to pass anyone is concerned. Raiden Nickel brings it off 16 once again, and he'll come by. Probably next time by, we should see the white flag. We're 18, just a few seconds past 18 minutes into this race. Raiden Nickel, your leader. He brings it off turn number 1. And again, as he's done every time, puts those right tires just on that rumble strip off turn 1. He'll head up to the carousel for the next to the last time, probably. And he makes his way past the water tank. Here comes Raiden Nickel off turn number 4, off turn 5, and he will head down to that hairpin turn in turn number 6. Let's see if he does anything different this time. Nickel normally puts the right side tires on the rumble strips, left-hand side tires off the rumble strips. Perfectly executed, just like he's done it most every other lap so far this afternoon. He is 8 laps in. That's what we're into for this race right now. 8 laps complete. We will probably have a 9 or a 10-lap race by the time this is over with. So Nickel now into turn number 13 as he works his way up the hill. Or no, turn number 12, working into 13, I should say.
Turn 13 off camera there, hidden behind the trees. But it's a quick left-hander. It puts you into that wide sweeping turn 14.
Yeah, that's the Nuremberg Ring replica here at Atlanta Motorsports Park, and certainly a great shot of that as Raiden Nickel comes by. We do not get the white flag this time, so we'll have at least one more lap after this one to be completed. So we're at 19 minutes and 31 seconds in this one, so a little longer than 20 minutes on this, by the way they're running on the track. But Nickel takes him down now. He will make his way by. And he is in turn number 4, carousel turn for Raiden Nickel, as you'll see him come into focus here in just a moment. There is Nickel heading into turn number 6. He'll have one more opportunity besides this one once we get to the white flag. Raiden Nickel once again executing it perfectly as he comes off the track, gets past those rumble strips, and you just see the Bill Swatling's car, the red SR3, make his way by on the front straightaway. He goes across the scoring stripe to complete 8 laps, while Raiden Nickel has completed 9 laps. Pete Folger is just ahead of Bill Swatling. Of course, you've got Adam Brickley in second spot. We've not talked a lot about Adam today. There's the replay right there as Folger gets to the inside of Swatling and takes over that spot. Good run by Pete Folger to take that spot away from Bill Swatling.
As you see the instant replay here of that pass, was able to set him up and make the pass in turn 1, and the checkered flag is out.
Oh, checkered flag is out now, so we do get the checkered flag for Raiden Nickel as he gets the win. Adam Brickley, we'll be seeing him come along in just a moment for our second place finisher. Greg Folger is running third on the track right now, so there comes our other cars as they make their way up the hill. They'll come through 15 and 16, and we will see them come by. This will be Adam Brickley and Greg Folger. Will Layton will run in 4th position right now. So waiting on Layton to get by there in the 78 car. Much better race than he had in race number 1. So Layton comes by. Pete Folger will finish in 5th spot. And then it'll be Bill Swatling in 6th and Andrew Nagy in 7th position. And the checkered flag came out because they did go full-time, and there's lightning in the area, so they wanted to try to get the drivers off the track as soon as possible. So that's why the checkers came out when they did, even though we did go the full 20 minutes. So currently the clock shows 21 minutes, so we did get the full 20 minutes in, but they want to get those cars off the track because there's lightning in the area. We were fortunate today with the weather that we did get the races in. It actually brightened up here in the afternoon, but we see some dark clouds coming over right now. Lightning is in the area. Couldn't have ended at a better time as far as the weather is concerned.
Yeah, we're real fortunate that we got all the racing done. The cloud cover kept it cool all day. Overall, I mean, can't complain, right?
Well, and not only that, it didn't affect the out. It's not like that somebody was making a last lap pass that would have influenced the end of this race. Everybody pretty evenly spaced out. Raiden Nickel clearly the winner of this one. So it was a great ending for a wonderful afternoon. There you see Raiden Nickel bringing his winning car down in the paddock area. So Nickel in the 93, his familiar number 93, as he brings it home with a victory this afternoon. We'll have podium presentations coming up in just a little while. It has been group number 2 here from Atlanta Motorsports Park. Thank you so for tuning in. Podium presentations coming up a little later.